Alright, so we're back in the shop with the 62, now with the 6.2. And the last video, I had to put the radiator in and finish up a couple other things before we cranked it up. And got the fan on there, and as you can see, we got more room between the charge pipe and the pulley. And actually, this fan is a lower profile than the fan I had. And this fan is a brushless fan from Proform, and I believe it's supposed to be 3400 CFM. In the reviews I saw where somebody had really gotten down in the weeds and had tested the fan, and it was really only like 2900 or 3000 CFM or something. But in marketing, they're going to put it in the best case scenario to get as much CFM for their data sheet as they can. So, you know, it's going to be a lot more than what was on there, because the fan that was on there really didn't pull a whole lot of air. So anyway, we got that on there. We got it all back together. Got it running. It fired right up. And I don't know if I had mentioned before, but I had it was a 58X motor. And when I was putting it together in my haste, for some reason I only had a 1X 3-bolt cam gear for the front, but since I'm Holly, I could set up those parameters and then it would run. It didn't crank as well, and it wasn't set up as correctly. So this time I ordered a 3-bolt 4X cam gear for the front, so in the Holly setup I could just check the box for it's a 58X motor. It does seem to start and run a lot better now. So that's taken care of. Everything else is pretty much basic. So it's again, it's a 6.2 bottom end out of an 08 Denali, and I took it down to the bare block. I cleaned everything really well. We honed the cylinders. We put new rings in it, new bearings, new cam bearings, new oil pump, and then we did the DOD pump on this one because that was what was in it, and I don't want to deal with any oil pressure issues. And so far it has excellent oil pressure on crank up. Cold idle, it's got a lot of oil pressure. So I think we're good in that department. It's got the Liberty heads on it. Michael got me the rocker arms as well. We got hardened push rods, and then we went with a .070 thickness head gasket, compressed thickness, whereas an LS9 head gasket is .055, and that is due to the fact that these Liberty heads have a smaller combustion chamber, which would make this engine pretty much 11-to-1 or more, because I forget the numbers on the CC of the chambers on the Liberty heads versus a stock 823 head or 821 head, but from basically it would have been the same engine setup that was in my Cadillac CTSV, which I didn't mind bumping 11 plus compression on it because it's NA and it needs all the help it can get. But since we've got an atmosphere adder over here, and we're on pump gas, I wanted to try to reduce as much as I can without getting too crazy. So it has the JFR cam in it, again, that was custom spec years ago by Jarrett Faggart. And so now this is the exact combo, minus the thickness of the head gaskets, that I ran in an LTD I had years ago. And it was actually an 08 6.2 bottom end SBE with 823 heads, that camshaft, the car intake, and then that exact turbo. And I went 580s at 120 on about a little over 20 pounds of boost, and with a 4L80 and a PTC converter, 325 gear ratio, and a 275 60/15, which is identical to what this truck is. From what I've read, this truck is around 3,500 pounds from the factory. The inline 6-cylinder is over 600 pounds, but the transmission, the 3 on the tree, I mean, it's minimal weight. Well, it is cast iron, so I mean, it does have some weight to it, but compared to a torque converter and a 4L80, it's, you know, the offset isn't as great as the engine. But so now that we have an aluminum engine in here, that's another, I don't know, there's so many numbers floating around out there about the difference between an iron block and an aluminum block, but I believe it's over 100 pounds lighter for the aluminum block. With the QA1 suspension, it's supposed to be 140, 150 pounds off the front of the truck, and then you factor in that weight reduction is based on a coil sprung front end, like on this truck here. This was a torsion bar truck, so I kind of feel like the torsion bar suspension was heavier than the coil sprung front, but I'm not 100% on that. So hopefully I can get the truck on some scales and see where we're at. But I have an 11-pound spring in the gate. It is a 44 or 45 millimeter Summit wastegate, and it's tied back into my exhaust. And I get that question a lot, is about the wastegate and the placement and everything. A lot of people want to cut and weld onto the log up here and run 2 or 3 gates and all this stuff on here. I personally have never had an issue running the wastegate in the crossover. If I did have a problem with it, I would put it somewhere else, but I've always had good luck putting it in the crossover. So in my opinion, if it's not broke, don't fix it. So I get that question a lot because I saw one guy that had creep issues, and then he added one to the exhaust housing, and you know, then it still had too much creep. And I don't know, I guess I've been lucky. If anything, I've had the opposite effect, where it has controlled too good on the crossover and we weren't able to make boost. So I don't know, I guess I'm just the odd one out that it works. So if you remember the Quadra-steer, it was a stock camshaft 78, 75 with a .96 exhaust housing that made instant boost, and we could not get it to make over 10 pounds of boost with it was that new piston style VS wastegate, and we tried everything until we made it run away by basically pinning the gate shut, which somebody claimed that was a control issue, but it was me forcing the gate closed so I could make more than 10 pounds of boost because of the back pressure of the small turbo on a large engine. So anyway, I don't expect to have any issues with it, and I like the recirculated wastegate. If you can do it, that's the way I recommend doing it, to recirculate it, because it's so loud otherwise. But this is also a billet S480 from Jose at Forced Inductions. It's an 80 millimeter billet turbo. It has a 96 exhaust wheel, and it's a 110 exhaust housing, and I have ported it and knife edged it where it comes in to the flange, and it's a 4-inch downpipe into a full 4-inch exhaust that dumps under the truck. So we should be good there as far as restriction, and it has a Hooker Max flow on it, and it's really not that loud. I'm really, well, so far I'm happy with the sound of it. I haven't really driven it much. So I also got the gauges working. I am having an issue where the dash lights aren't coming on for some reason, and I believe that's because it's the light switch, because I had to work the light switch to get it to do the running lights on the rear, I guess, because this truck has sat for probably 30 years or something. So I remember driving it when I was little, and it was a 3 on the column. I learned how to drive 3 on the tree in this truck when I was a boy, and this truck has been in my family since the mid-60s. So my papa bought it from his boss at the railroad at the time, and the truck was only a couple years old. So the truck, for its age, for a 62-year-old truck that's been sitting in the woods all its life, it's been outside all its life. This truck's in excellent condition. I'm not sure. It looks like that's obviously not factory. So I don't know. I got to get a radio for it. I know the turbo is great music and all, but I would like to have some music when I'm driving. So I'm gonna get a new switch for there. I did put a new turn signal switch in there, and my blinkers do work. And fun fact, the 62 left and right turn signals only activated one green light in the dash. So regardless of if you were turning left or right, only one green light would flash in the dash. So I thought that was interesting. My buddy that's a guru on these trucks, he said that his are the 64 to 66 era, and he said that they had separated out indicators. So I had to follow my wiring diagrams to get that wired properly. I was asked if the clock worked, and it does. It's right twice a day, and that's good enough for me. So I don't know why they put a clock in there. I don't want a clock, but it's got a clock. I mean, this is as basic of a truck as you can get. Like, it does have a night-day mirror, which my buddy was intrigued by, because as basic as this truck is, I mean, it has one visor, obviously, and then it has one mirror. It has a fan and a defrost. It did have a radio, but I mean, that is it. This is as basic of a truck as you could get. So I don't know why they would do a clock. So I bought the patch panel for the old fuel fill right here, and then did an amazing job of welding that in. So we'll have to make that blend in a little better. So that was all I had, was some gray paint and some black, and just spattered it on there. So I mean, at first glance it kind of blends in. So I need to do some body work on it and wipe it down, and then try to make it blend better. So moving on, the wood bed is looking pretty good. I did, except for the fact I do regret that I did not clean and I didn't wipe these strips down and paint them with anything, which was, I don't know. Well, I know why I didn't do it, because that takes time, and I was in a hurry, and here we are. So I bought some clear, and what I'd like to do is wipe the whole bed down, and then I got an SOS pad or double walt or whatever steel wool thing. So I was going to wipe the strips down and then at least clear them or something, because I don't want them to rust. So that's another question while we're on the topic. The truck's not getting painted. That is the other big question I get asked all the time is, are you going to paint it? No, I'm not painting the truck. This is how it looked when my papa had it, and this is how I remember seeing the truck when I was little. It's always looked like this, and in my opinion, if I painted the truck, then it wouldn't be my papa's truck anymore. that's it. If you knew my papa, which you don't, I mean, Papa was function over form, which you can kind of tell through me. That's how I am. If it works, it operates, and gets the job done, that's what I'm after. I don't have the talent or the patience to make things clean and tidy and to the level that some people take these projects to. And I'm intrigued by them, and it looks exceptional. Don't get me wrong, but that's not who I am. That's not how I was raised. I just don't have it in me to. I mean, this is a lot for me because I actually painted the inner fenders, painted the firewall and stuff. So this is quite a level of detail for me, for one, because again, I'm a function over form kind of person, and as long as it works and operates, that's what I'm after. So over the weekend we went out of town, so I haven't had a chance to drive it with the 6.2, but I would like to. I'm off for New Year's, so I plan on trying to put some miles on the truck, and I got to calibrate the speedometer, and I think that's it. So I think the tachometer and all is correct from the output from the Holly. So I've got to calibrate the speedometer, and get the dash lights working. And then, like I say, I want to put some miles on the truck and kind of drive it and enjoy it and everything. And then whenever Michael gets available, well, we work together kind of, so I'm hoping that I can drive it to work one day, and then he can tickle the ivories on the keyboard and get it, clean up what I've messed up, and then I can kind of drive it and get some miles on it, and then we can get it on the dyno and then kind of see where we're at, dial in the meth injection, and then just kind of see where we're at and get everything dialed in. Another thing is these trucks have that long arm suspension with a coil spring, so it's got a long bar that comes up to here and comes all the way back, and they're triangulated, and it has a panhard bar and then outboarded shocks. So I was looking through YouTube trying to find a 4-link style solution, which is what I'd like to do, because I would like the truck to kind of hook and be able to put some power to the ground. So I don't know how this setup works as far as that goes, but I'm always trying to change and mess stuff up. So if you know Dave Chappelle from Dirt Every Day, him and Freiberger actually did an episode on the that truck, the muscle truck, the original muscle truck. And if you know Chappelle, he is a very good fabricator. He doesn't get enough credit for all the stuff he knows how to do, and I hate that they canceled his show. I didn't really care for Fred. Fred's okay, but I really like Dave Chappelle because he's a very humble fabricator, and he does a very good job, and I like watching him fabricate and follow his channel. But he ordered a bunch of parts, and him and Freiberger built him a 4-link coilover suspension for the muscle truck. So eventually I want to do that on this one and lay everything out and get it how I want it and set up a triangulated 4-link on it. So and then put a good radial on it, and then we all know where it's going to go. We're going to run a number, and then it's going to all be downhill from there. So I'm going to try to control myself. But anyway, I just want to give the update on that for now, and then we got other trucks coming through here shortly.